Dimitra's dishes. So today we're going to make red velvet cupcakes. They're so easy. They're one of those very, very simple desserts to make, but almost everyone I know loves them. They're a light, moist, fluffy, lightly kissed by chocolate sponge cake. And I'm going to take you over the ingredients. They're perfect for Valentine's Day, which is right around the corner, or really for any celebration. They're so easy to make. You're going to be so surprised. Let me take you over the ingredients. First, let's do the dry ingredients first. We're going to sift together all-purpose flour, cocoa powder. You have to make sure it's unsweetened, okay? Don't use the sweet stuff that's used for making, chocolate milk or hot chocolate or whatever. We need some baking soda and a little bit of salt. And you always want to sift your cake and your dry ingredients when you're making cakes. It really lightens them up and makes a huge difference in the final product. We need a teaspoon of salt, because we always put salt in everything, even desserts. See how many hard bits are in here? You don't want those in your cake. It's like salt and baking soda. Now we're going to put that on the side. The only other dry ingredient in here that we have that I didn't add to the flour mixture is our sugar, and that's because we're going to beat that with the eggs with a wire whisk. So for our wet ingredients, we have buttermilk. So I didn't have buttermilk. I hardly ever have buttermilk in my house, so I made my own version of it. I just took a cup of whole milk and I added a teaspoon of vinegar to it, and I used just distilled white wine vinegar. You can do that simply. Just leave it on the counter for like half an hour to an hour, and that's a perfect substitute for buttermilk. I have red food coloring, and I like to use a gel food coloring. It's much more intense in color, and you need less. I have a little bit of white distilled vinegar, some sugar. I'm going to use olive oil and vanilla extract. That's it. So we're going to put our wet ingredients together now. Our sugar, olive oil, and this is not the olive oil that we use in salads. This is more of a pomace oil, which is a really, really light sort of processed olive oil. If you don't have it, definitely don't use the good stuff, okay? Don't use the extra virgin cold pressed olive oil. You don't want that. It has too much olivey flavor, and you don't want that for these cupcakes. Use any vegetable oil, non-GMO that you have around your house. I'm going to put a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and I never measure vanilla extract. I love it. If it's a tiny bit more than there needs to be in there, that's fine. And again, always use pure vanilla extract. It's important. I'm going to put my vinegar in my food coloring. I'm going to put the buttermilk in here. And add the food coloring for that nice red color that red velvet cake is known for. Back in the day, they used to use beet juice, and if you want to substitute beet juice for the red food coloring, it's much healthier. Go for it. If you have a juicer, juice some beets and put it in here until you have the color that you like. And now, last and final step, we're just going to mix our dry sifted ingredients in here a little bit at a time, probably in thirds. In 3 batches we can do this. That's it. The batter is done. Look at how gorgeous that looks. It's thick, it's velvety, it's beautiful. We're just going to scoop it out in our lined cupcake tins right here. Let me move these things out of the way. All right, so this recipe makes about 20 to 22 cupcakes. I like to use an ice cream scoop. This is a pretty big one, so I'm just going to fill it up about halfway. Make sure your oven is preheated to 350 degrees. And then just start scooping. Scoop it up. Fill it about 3/4 of the way full, so that way they don't, fluff up too much and look like muffins. After all, these are cupcakes, right? All right, so I got about 19 cupcakes. I may have overfilled them just a bit, but that's okay. We'll find out as soon as they come out. They'll still be really good. I'm going to pop these in for about between 20 to 23, 24 minutes. It just depends on your oven. You can check them after the 15-minute mark to kind of rotate them. Do not rotate them before that, otherwise you might get a little drop in the center, they might cave in instead of getting that beautiful like cupcake dome shape. So I'll show you what they look like as soon as they come out. All right, so they just came out of the oven at exactly 22 minutes. After 15 minutes, I just switched the trays around so that way they can cook evenly. Now let me show you what it looks like when they're done. You put the toothpick in and it comes out completely clean. There's no batter attached to it. If there's batter, that means it needs to cook a few more minutes. That's just as simple as that. So now, I'm going to put them on my cooling rack over here for about, 10-15 minutes until they cool, because you don't want to ice hot cupcakes. All the icing will melt, right? So now, let's go over the icing ingredients, and cream cheese icing is what I use for this. Everyone loves cream cheese icing. It's super sweet. These are lightly sweetened. These cupcakes are not ultra sweet, so the cream cheese icing complements them beautifully. One very, very important thing is you want your cream cheese and your butter to be very soft and at room temperature, okay? You don't want to use cold butter. It won't mix, or cold cream cheese. So I'm going to put my cream cheese and my butter in my bowl, and I'm going to mix it until it's combined. Then I'm just going to add some powdered sugar and pure vanilla extract. So we're going to cream these first. Now it does help when you're making cream cheese icing to have a stand mixer, and if you do have one, go ahead and use it. I might be covered with powdered sugar by the time this is all over, because this mixer doesn't seem to mix on a very, very low speed, but it'll all be worth it in the end, I know. All right, so I'm going to start adding my powdered sugar a little bit at a time until it's all incorporated. I'm going to do this on a low speed. Let's add a little bit more. Not bad at all. I didn't do too bad at all. Just have some powdered sugar dust on my counter, but at least it's not all over me, just a little bit on me. Now, I'm going to add my vanilla extract to this, and I love using vanilla extract for this recipe. If you like, you can add some orange zest, lemon zest, whatever you like, but I feel like vanilla extract goes perfectly here, and you add about a teaspoon. And before I give it that final mix, I'm just going to scrape the bottom of the bowl for whatever powdered sugar might be there on the bottom before we start mixing again. This icing is so good on so many things. Really good on carrot cake, but especially good on these red velvet cupcakes. I'm going to mix this up a little bit, and then I'm going to I'm going to beat it on a very high speed until it gets really nice and fluffy, and then we're going to ice our cupcakes. And that's it. Our cream cheese icing is done. Let me just make sure it doesn't need anything else. Let me taste it. I was just kidding. I knew it didn't need anything else, but it's so good. Really delicious. Now, I'm going to scrape the rest off these beaters, pop my cupcakes out of the cupcake tin, and let them cool about 10 more minutes on the wire rack until they're completely cool, and then I can't wait to ice these and show you how to do that. Okay, so now I'm filling my pastry bag with my cream cheese icing. I'm only going to fill the bag a little bit less than halfway, so that way the icing doesn't ooze out. I have a pastry bag here that, if you've been watching my show, you know that I use it a lot when I make desserts. I have a plain round metal tip attached to it. If you don't have a pastry bag or a tip, go ahead and use like a plastic Ziploc bag or something like that. It's fine. You could even ice these with like a knife or something, a butter knife or a icing spatula. But I find that this makes it much prettier, so I just love to have these there. It's really easy to use and easy to find. So now, you want to make sure your cupcakes are completely cooled when you're icing. And I did go crazy filling a little bit more than 3/4 of the way up. That's why I have a little bit extra cake on these, but I don't know too many people that complain about extra cake in their life, so it's completely fine. They're homemade. They don't have to look 100% perfect like they came out of a factory. It makes them even better. So now, I like to start in the middle and go around like that. It's that simple, and it looks like it came out of a fancy schmancy bakery. And because I don't have patience to ice all these, I'm going to taste one right now, and I'm going to show you what it looks like on the inside, how moist and delicious it is. Look at that. Tell me you don't want to come through this camera and eat this right now. Look at that. Can you see how moist it is and how light? You see all those air bubbles in there? So delicious. Go on the website, get the recipe, www.dimitrasdishes.com. Thank you guys for subscribing. I hope you enjoyed watching me make this recipe. I'm definitely going to enjoy eating these cupcakes and sharing them with my family. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.